doesn't have to be in the masjid. So if you a job as a sales agent, and it depends on like some of the ways to market and establish or create like a needy or some reasons that the customer should need to buy that product, for example. Again, all of that under the marketing methods or ways. So, what is the opinion about these types of marketing ways? So there is nothing wrong to do marketing for like commodities and the services, but again, avoid telling lies or um, and Sheikh says, well, you are asking me about like the ways of marketing and how good or halal they are. First of all, this is not my job, my brother. I need more information about that, detailed information about what exactly you do in order to tell you this is halal or haram. But again, in general, try to just avoid telling lies, to exaggerate on these issues. Uh, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring you to the right thing, inshallah. An old lady, she cannot fast. She was told that she has to give 15 dollars, Canadian dollars a day in order to feed a miskin. So in total it's gonna be like 450 for the whole month. She would like to send that money to Egypt in order to like uh, feed all these needy people in Egypt, like cheaper. And she could pay like some of that money also to her sister who's sick back in Egypt. Can she do that, or does does she have to do that in Canada? Sheikh says, well, the default in this case, like you pay this kafara or fidya of fasting where you live, so that should be in Canada. However, there is nothing wrong to transfer that money to other place, that when you feel the other place is more in need of that help or support than the place where you live. And also she would do that as well for her sister. What is the hukm of using like the Windows software or the Office in business? Like you could actually download this one for like few dollars. Is it haram to use these programs or this kind of commercial software and download it to people? Especially the price of this software is so expensive and we cannot actually buy the original copy. Especially soft like this Microsoft company is one of the companies that is supporting like the state of Israel. This is what the one who sent the question is saying here in the question. So first of all, Sheikh says, well, if you put yourself in that position to support the jihad, so do not use like this door or that gate of jihad, right? It's not like a self like benefit. Like you're not gonna make money out of it, right? But if you have this kind of good wish, good goodwill or good intention, so This kind of money should be spent on the sake of Allah. But if you go back to the core of your question, like the price of that software is so expensive. So let's go back to the default. Number one, this is like the copyright has to be preserved. You know, it's a violation if you actually try to do that. If you make a copy of it, it's just like it's not halal. As as long as you are not capable of securing a copy for yourself to just use it for personal use. So there is a big difference between the two points. The need of that software for personal use or use that software in business. So if you want to use it for business and you try to get that for free, that's not halal. Wallahu a'lam. Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. What is the hukm of swimming exercise during the daytime of Ramadan? Some water can come in in the mouth or the nose. Especially I'm a student in this college where where I learn swimming and I have to pass this course. Sheikh says, well, there is nothing wrong for for a fasting person to do swimming. It's similar to اغتسال or ghusl, and it's jaiz at most of the scholars. Ibn Uthaymeen, one of the great scholars, said there is nothing wrong for Sa'im or the one who's fasting to swim or do swimming. He can swim as much as he can uh, uh, you know, uh, stay in the water as much as he can, but he has to make sure that none of the water can actually get into his mouth or his nose. Try to avoid that. Again, remember that the swimming can actually make you active, make you like strong, and then can support you to fast the whole day. So again, that's the main issue here is to make sure that do your effort to avoid having water coming into your mouth. Uh, so if you cannot swallow any water during that time, so do not swim. Do not practice that swimming during the daytime because you're gonna ruin your fasting. Is it jaiz to kill the ants in like apartment, especially when they get into like a plate, some leftover plate? Uh, I have heard that it's haram, and the Prophet ﷺ warned us to do that. Sheikh says you are right. So the Prophet ﷺ has warned us to kill uh, four: the ant, the bee, the and two other birds. But if you cannot avoid the harm of that ants except by killing that, so there is nothing wrong to kill that. So if there is an easy, simple way to do that, it's better to do that by that simple way. Second question, If you do not actually rinse your mouth during wudu, is your wudu not acceptable or not is batil, or it's a sunnah or wajib? The questioner want to do that. Sheikh says, well, rinsing your mouth is like among the sunnah. It's not a wajib. That's actually the majority of scholars who said that. Hanbali said it's wajib. So I would advise to get it as much as you can to just like preserve a sunnah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Third question is touching your wife and kissing your wife with a desire during the day of time of Ramadan, and then some fluid or some liquid might come after that. Is that gonna ruin your fasting? So ulama or scholars said this madhi or that fluid comes when you have this desire is not gonna ruin your fasting. Um, so Sawm al-Sahih and the Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah actually got this opinion or adopted this opinion. So there is no like evidence that fasting would be ruined if you have that. But the fasting person should actually be careful, should avoid anything that would put his fasting, in dangerous, especially if he's like in a young age. So it was narrated that Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, said the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss his wife when he was fasting, but he was very controlling himself. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What is the hukm of buying a house through this, like something called the murabaha sale, especially when they add more fees? Sheikh says, well, there is nothing wrong to do that, but the insurance, like the extra fees, like insurance or something. So this is like civilian bylaws or policies or laws. So if the ta'meen or the insurance is must in this kind of contracts, it's not gonna ruin that contract, or we're not gonna describe it as a non-Muslim or a non or haram thing. So we should actually go to a Muslim bank or an Islamic bank or Islamic finance system in order to do that. As long as we have this kind of banks around, so that will reduce the amount of, haram or anything that would conflict with the Islamic laws or rules. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. When you enter in Jama'ah late, so the Imam and the other people in the first tashahhud, how has he do the first takbir and second takbir for the tashahhud? So Sheikh says wajib when you enter the salah, just like late and the Imam is in the tashahhud, the first tashahhud, you have to come up with the first takbirah, which is one takbirat of ihram. When you stand up, you say Allahu Akbar, you enter the prayer. This is actually a pillar, a rukn of the salah. And then you get like a second takbirah and you go down to join them in the tashahhud. In any situation, another question, like if the Imam is still in ruku', kneeling. So again, the first one is fard, is must. It's called Takbiratul Ihram. So the second one, you go down or kneeling with the rest of the, the musallin to do ruku' or to join them in ruku'. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Pray as such as you saw me praying." So you just follow, you copy what the Prophet ﷺ did. Again, the first takbirah is fard, is must. So if you do not do this takbirah, the first takbirah, as if you didn't actually join them. So again, please stick with the first one. The first one is takbiratul ihram, is like the key to get into the prayer. No prayer is without that first takbir. You can bring them together, as Sheikh says. And some scholars said you can bring them together. You say Allahu Akbar, and then your niyyah, you combine the one takbiratul ihram and the takbirah to go down for ruku' or for the sujood. And that could be actually. So if their time is very limited and you want to catch the imam during his ruku', for example, it might be only one. Sheikh says, with this question, we have come to the end of this episode. We make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help to help us make up what we couldn't, what any shortcoming we have done, and support the mu'mineen wherever they are in east and west, and get them the victory over their enemies, and fix our children. We are repentant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to forgive us, forgive our parents and their parents and those who have rights over us. Ameen. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.